Call. If you have not already done so, please unmute yourself and say hello. Tell us your name and where you're calling from so we can welcome you to the call.
Hi, this is Shelley from Colorado.
Hi, Shelley. Welcome.
Thank you.
You are so welcome. We'll get started here in just another minute or two. Ron, have you joined us as of yet?
And thank you, Dover, for all you do for all of us there, young man.
Hey, it's my pleasure, Van. Appreciate you.
I know I appreciate you.
Hope everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. At least those of us in the States. And those of us not, I hope you had a wonderful weekend as well.
That's it.
All right, and we will be getting started here momentarily. Again, if you have not had the opportunity to say hello, this is the Enriching Gifts Education Call. My goodness, it's December 1st. So here we are, the last month of the year before we hit 2022. And just a lot of exciting stuff. And thanks to Ron, you know, products come in and I've been hearing that people are getting their orders and it's feeling good. So welcome to the call, everybody. Anyone else before we get started want to say hello?
Yeah, this is Ron.
Hey, Ron, welcome to the call.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think we should get the party started. The host with the most is here. Ron has been Mr. Ron Schneider, for those of you that may watch the recording or new to the call. Ron is the founder, formulator, CEO of Enriching Gifts, and he's been on a path, on a mission for many, many decades to enhance wellness throughout each and everyone's lives throughout the world, those that he can reach and touch. So Ron, we want to say thank you. Hopefully you had just a wonderful Thanksgiving, had some time to reflect, got some time to spend with your family, and hopefully you got some downtime. Knowing you probably didn't, but hopefully you did. So welcome to the call, brother.
Thank you. I had a great time, had a great holiday. Definitely did a lot of reflecting, did a lot of talking. So tonight's topic, I actually have two. And the first one I'm going to talk about is fulvic acid. I'm sure that you guys have heard all the buzz and the this and the that about fulvic acid. And I just want everybody to know that I was the first person in the United States way back in 1986 when I moved to Phoenix, Arizona, working with a guy that was trying to put together fulvic acid to put it into the retail market, and then tried to contact me so that I would help him introduce it to the network marketing industry, because I'd already been established with my enzymes and stuff. And that all came about in 1990. And since then, I've had calls with people from Canada, calls with other people, nurses from here in America. And everybody is just going bonkers how this is curing cancer, this is doing that, this is curing this, curing that. And I get so damn frustrated. And like I told the nurse, like I told this gal from Canada this afternoon, if fulvic acid, and I'll tell you what, and I got really upset because the one nurse said, well, that was 30 years ago. Times have changed. You know, we've improved in research, we've improved in product manufacturing. And I said, I don't disagree with any of that, except for two things have still remained the same after 30 some years. One, the source. The source hasn't changed for fulvic acid. It comes from shale. It comes from coal. It comes from anything that has carbon in it. And that's the only place you can extract fulvic acid from. And two, the properties, the molecular properties of fulvic acid have not changed one single iota. So what's changed is a little bit better understanding when it's interacting in the human body. That's more up-to-date research, a lot of positive stuff. But I went through for over 2.5 hours last night on the internet. Went through all of these sources. Both these individuals had claimed that had curing cancer and improving oxygenation and modulating immune system response and this and that and on and on. So I spent 2.5 hours wasting my time, because for every single one of those things that they claim they could do, right there in the research, just read it. Quit going with like the network marketing industry usually does, wants to promote all this miracle cure crap and forget about all the rest of it that says, yeah, it's a potential reduces inflammation in diabetic. Oh, but right there, the next sentence. But we also find evidence that it can create inflammation in a diabetic. Oh, it has antioxidant properties and can actually increase superoxide dismutase, which is the antioxidant enzyme the body produces. Oh, but it can also hinder the production of superoxide. So you're going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and all you find is an equal balance. There is no magic breakthrough about it. And I told the one gal, I said, do you realize you're trying to tell me and claim that you're curing cancer with this stuff? Because your grandmother, somebody magically cured their intestinal tract cancer in 5 days or whatever it was? Let me tell you something. If this had the ability to cure cancer 30 years ago, then why isn't it being used worldwide for curing cancer? If it had such great oxidation properties or antioxidant properties and improving oxygenation in the bloodstream like nitric oxide, if it had those properties, then why doesn't it do it? Why didn't it do it 30 years ago and became the #1 bodybuilding supplement in the world? I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't do it on a consistent basis. In fact, it doesn't even do it at all. Fulvic acid is just like any other nutrient. It does have a mediation factor to it because it activates certain enzymes. It'll change a certain pH. It'll change a certain environment. And that's the modem, if you will. And she tried to say it was a chelate to increase oxygen in the blood. And I said, nothing's ever been shown to be chelated to oxygen to increase oxygenation in the blood. Not chlorella, nothing. That's all network marketing nonsense BS. And I said, you don't even know 101 chemistry. You're talking to the guy that was the first guy to ever handle this stuff in a marketing modality. I'm it, just like coral calcium. Nobody knew about coral calcium until I brought it to the United States and introduced it to Kevin Trudeau. Fred Kaufman and I put it with a network marketing company. Nobody even knew about that. Nobody knew about sterols. I brought sterols to the U.S. market, got sued by a company called Moducare out of Denver, Colorado, was their office here in America, but they were a South African-based company. And I brought that to the U.S. market. And today it's one of the most famous prostate, beta prostate, which is in GNCs, Walmart, all over the place. That active ingredient in there came from South Africa, and I was the one who introduced it to the U.S. market. Over a decade before beta prostate was even thought about or even heard of on national television. So I just get so furious with all of these ignorant people just thinking because they're a nurse or because they're this or because they're that or because they think they're smart. They don't have a chemical degree. They don't have one-on-one chemistry. And they certainly haven't spent $40+ million over the last 3 decades on my own personal research into the human body and nutrition and enzymes. So I wanted to cover that today and just put a kibosh to all of this nonsense and this craziness going on with fulvic acid. In fact, they just closed one company down in Canada because it was so toxic where they were deriving their fulvic acid from was a nuclear waste or some kind of a waste dump site. And it was toxic. So this is the craziness that's going on. And again, I'm going to reiterate, don't talk to me about some substance or some nutrient that cures anything. The only thing that will cure, prevent, eliminate a disease from the human body is one or more of the immune system cells. And all immune system cells function from within an enzymatic cellular membrane. So it's the enzymes within that cell that actually cure and produce and block and dissolve and all that kind of stuff. Only your immune system, only the human immune system can cure, prevent, or treat any disorder, illness, or disease. Anybody saying anything other than that, you're terribly misleading and you're terribly ignorant. That's just the bottom line, and that is a fact, a scientific fact. And that's why people, including doctors, go to jail for making health claims, drug claims, or even disease prevention and treatment claims when not talking about the immune system. Products and drugs don't do that. Nutrients don't do that. Only your immune system has the ability to protect and alleviate disease and illness from the human body. So that was my first topic of conversation, because I don't want anybody, especially on my calls, to be haggled and misled and taken advantage of and all hyped out of the moon. It just simply isn't what they're saying about it today. Simply doesn't hold water and no truth at all to any of it. Because like I said, it was so successful, all the doggone crazy crap that those two were claiming over the last couple of days, it would be the number one selling supplement worldwide. It came, it gone, it wasn't even in the industry. I think 3 companies picked it up, and it wasn't even there for more than 2 years, at the very, very most. Stuff tastes like crap. You can taste the acid in it. And the problem is there is never, ever been an established dosage, therapeutic dosage, to be shown beneficial for human consumption. There's never, not even to this day, nowhere on the internet does it have it even. And the problem is there's such minimal research that anybody has ever put into any part of fulvic acid. So all of it, and like I was telling the nurse, I said, all this stuff is network marketing crap. I said, peer reviewed. Really? Who's the peer review? Was it New England Journal of Medicine? Was it the FDA? There's no mention of it anywhere. And I said, this is a network marketing company. I guarantee you, I don't even have to know what its name is or anything else. I've seen enough of this crap over my career to know that it's just crap. It's just marketing crap. And sure enough, it was a network marketing company out of Canada, which, by the way, I guess got shut down last week, was one of them. So that's my take, and I just want to share that with everybody really quick. But on a more positive note, now we're going to get into this Comicron or Omnicron or this new variant of COVID-19. And here we go into lockdowns and this and that. And I know you guys are smart enough to see that this is all political, because even the doctor in South Africa that actually had identified the variant for the very first time even said that the symptoms are much milder than COVID-19, and there's nobody yet that's died from it. Nobody yet that's even been seriously ill or hospitalized from it, even in South Africa, where we all know that they're a third world country down there. So if there was going to be a breakout and there was going to be deaths and hospitalizations and this and that, that would definitely be one country where it would occur at, first and foremost. And now today we have our very first confirmed case out of California. It's reached our shores here in America, but I knew it would. And I just want to calm everybody down. It's nothing to worry about. It's nowhere near as contagious or deadly as COVID. We already know that because of the other countries around the world that have had it, and now it's growing slowly, but it's going to grow not nearly as bad as COVID. Even the markets, and if you guys don't know, I do trading and stuff my own each and every day, and even the markets have fallen down by over 1,000 points in the last since Monday. So now they're talking about lockdowns, shutdowns, this, that, and we've got such a screwed up supply chain right now. Thousands of big, huge barges and ships with containers and stuff just sitting out in the ports off of Florida and California. And now we need to go down to lockdown and this crazy mandate stuff. Mandate everybody that you got to shut down your business, you got to wear a mask, can't get on an airplane unless you have a 24-hour COVID positive or COVID negative test. Got to quarantine no matter where you go or come from in the United States. Once you're here, you have to quarantine for 7 days because of this new Omicron variant. But yet not a squeak, not a mumble, nothing about all the illegal aliens crossing the Mexico border. Oh, they're all fine. We can't control that. We aren't even going to try. No shots, no vaccines, no requirements of any kind whatsoever. And that's what really makes me angry, is because as an American citizen, we ought to all be up in arms. We ought to be on the phone just 24 hours a day, just ripping our senators and our Congress people. Because literally illegal immigrants, now they want to give them the right to vote in New York. Yeah, I want to turn this call into political, but this is ridiculous. You know, foreigners, murderers, rapists, drug dealers, illegal aliens have more rights than we do in this country. In case nobody ever heard this, it's not talked about on the news or anything. They did pass with this new. They passed the infrastructure bill, but this is that Build Back Better bill. That passes, every single child who is separated from their parents at the border is going to get a $465,000 paycheck per person. The mother and the child, each. When was the last time somebody came and gave you nearly $500,000 for all your hard work and contributions into the Social Security system, welfare system, and everything that you've contributed in taxes for all the years that you and I have worked? Like I said, this ought to infuriate everybody. It does me. And there was one day, I think it was last Friday, day after Thanksgiving. No, it was a week ago, Tuesday. I was on the phone all day long harassing John Tester and Steve Daines, my senators, and Governor Gianforte. Tried to reach his office 17 times. And I mean, they're going to get an earful. It's not the first time they've got an earful from me. I mean, a lot of their aides and stuff in their offices, they already know who I am when I say my name. But this is ridiculous. It's crazy. And the main thing is I'm going to end with, at least for this topic anyway, is I just don't want anybody to worry about this variant. It's not nearly as bad as everybody's trying to jump up and down and make it out to be. Like I said, there's not been one death worldwide reported from this yet at all. And as far as I know, there have just been very minor symptoms, even for people that have went to the hospital to get it checked out and stuff. So that's all I really had for tonight. So if anybody would like to open it up and contribute or ask questions, make comments, please feel free to do so now. And especially if you have any disease or illness questions, be happy to talk with you. So Dover, can we open it up?
Absolutely. If you have a question, please unmute yourself. Ask away.
Ask away.
And if you are speaking, we cannot hear you.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. Is James from Australia on the call tonight?
Yeah, Ron, I'm here. I was about to ask a question, actually.
Yeah, hey, buddy. You know what? I don't have that template. I mailed it to Talia, and she
Okay.
doesn't think that she has it. So do you have a copy of that you could text to me or email me or something?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, yeah, if you can do that, I'll get that filled out and get that out to you right away or wherever it needs to go to.
Yep. Yeah, no problem at all, Ron.
Yeah, why are they giving you such a hard time about products all of a sudden? I mean, that's never happened to me. And I've mailed to New Zealand, Christchurch, Auckland, mailed to Sydney, Australia, Tanzania, Tasmania. That little island down there off of, I got several clients down there. I used to mail to them all the time, and I've never once had the crap to go through like you're having to go through.
Yeah, it's weird because I got two of the box, the same couple of boxes, but this one came through and they just want to do their checks, I guess. Pain in the butt.
Yeah, but you're the only one I've ever had to do this with. The only one. And there's probably, I'm going to guess, pretty close to 20 different clients over the years that I've shipped product to down there.
Yeah.
And it just seems like you're the only one. And I don't know if because it's exactly where you live or what's going on there, but holy cow, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, send me the template and where I need to email it to and stuff, and I'll get it faxed and figured out for you and get it out tomorrow.
Okay. Sounds great.
Sounds great.
All
And
righty.
listen, while I've got you, just on that Omicron,
Yeah.
we've had four cases, and all of the cases have been double vaxxed.
Yeah, right. So the vaccine is
It
not
works
going to
well.
be very effective against preventing you from getting this. But like I said, the doctor that actually discovered it down in South Africa, and so far they've identified 17 countries that it's in. Now it's 18. It's been confirmed in California today. So now there's 18 countries. But all the countries, there hasn't been any hospitalizations from it. And there certainly hasn't been anybody die or been seriously ill from it. The doctor who discovered said the symptoms are seemingly very mild. And older or younger, doesn't make any difference. It's just not that aggressive of a virus, I guess.
Mm.
And it's not nearly as contagious as they originally thought. It's actually showing to be less contagious than the COVID variant D, as well as the Corona 19. So that's one thing I wanted to just make clear to everybody. So far, from what we know, no reason to jump up and down or get excited at all, because it's nowhere near as deadly or anything like the COVID 19 or the D variants.
Yeah. So Ron, I had a question on. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of echo. On thyroid profile TSH. If that's low, couple of questions.
If what's low? What is low?
The thyroid stimulating hormone.
Thyroid emulating hormone, which is what, T2, T4? Which one are you talking about?
It says TSH. It's just
TSH,
very low.
okay. Got it. Okay.
And
And
second part
that's
of it,
low in you?
and second part of that, B12 is extremely high.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a correlation between thyroid and B12?
Yes, there is. Because again, B12, when you think about B12, what is B12 actually used for by the body? It's actually used to make red blood cells in the bone marrow. That's the primary use of B12. The second one is it's an activation for a certain group of peptides within brain cell tissue and functioning. So B12 will definitely increase oxygenation through increasing red blood cell count.
Okay.
And when you think about the pH and oxygenation of the body, well, that's where the chemicals of hormones come into play. So if your chemistry is off and you're producing way too many red blood cells, so your oxygen is going up, or there's something inhibiting the B12 from being used as it's supposed to be to build red blood cells, but there's something inhibiting it from being used and it's actually building up in the body. Well, what would inhibit that? Chemistry. Your pH is off, and that's where your hormones come into play. So if your hormones are not properly balanced, they could definitely throw your pH off to where you're actually not using specific nutrients. Because again, nutrients are determined by two things: what nutrients activate an enzyme, and that enzyme can also be controlled by pH as well as temperature. And that's why the endocrine system or the hormonal system is so terribly fragile, as well as so terribly important to the human body. because if temperature becomes low, your hormones become imbalanced and your pH goes off, or your chemical balance goes off. That's going to affect just about everything in the human body, not just B12. So definitely there could be a link there. Absolutely.
Okay. And Ron, you mentioned temperature. It's interesting. Feeling extremely cold a lot of the time.
Oh yeah, when your thyroid is off, and if you've got thyroid problems, your thyroid is the main gland that produces hormones that regulate body temperature. That's where your body temperature is regulated from, is from your thyroid gland. And if it's off, you're going to be cold. Absolutely, you can be freezing cold, or you can have terrible sweats like menopause. And that's just one of the natures. And you said you're really low on T8. So I'm not so sure where T8 is correlated with the actual body temperature, but it is part of the thyroid grouping of hormones, specifically released from the thyroid, not just some other gland like the pituitary or pineal gland or a whole bunch of other glands that produce hormones. That is definitely part of the thyroid functioning.
Okay.
So that in itself could definitely not necessarily affect your body temperature. And remember, you only have to be off 2-3 degrees to be totally in wackadoodle land. Yeah, I mean, you go from 99 or 98.6, 99 to 96. That's only 3 degrees. But you go down to 95, and I'm telling you, you are going to feel that. Your body's going to react to that. Your brain chemistry goes way out of whack. You're going to be wondering, now let me see, what part of this planet am I on, and what's it called, and what's my name, and oh my gosh, I'm crying, now I'm laughing, and it really screws up the human body's chemistry really bad when temperature starts going off. And then, like I said, then you're low in specific hormones that are involved in regulating body temperature, that are regulating some of the other impulses to release hormones from some of these other glands. Now you're in a world of hurt. And definitely you could be shaking so bad you just shiver. And then, a couple hours later, you could be sweating your pants off. Just depends on what's going on.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely all hormonally related. Absolutely.
All right. Ron, second question.
Uh-huh.
LDL, HDL.
Yep.
Obviously, you've talked about having a ratio of 3 to 1. Where does
Maximum
triglyceride fit into that?
First of all, let's understand what the true chemical name of triglyceride is. Triglycerides are actually an alcohol, but they are considered microfats. Now, when I say micro, they're extremely small. They're like little specks of bacteria when you look at them in blood.
Yep.
And so this figures into the overall form. How serious is elevated triglycerides of 4, 5, 6, 1200 in the true picture of potential oxidation and accumulation of LDL cholesterol converting into stored plaque blocking arteries? Triglycerides are really a just not even 1% of that overall formula. Nothing to be worried about, but because it is a fat, it does have potential of oxidation, and it is fat that can get into brain cells very easily because of their small micro size, and then oxidize in the brain, contributing to plaque buildup in brain cells, causing dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that. And even impaired circulation, causing brain bleeds and aneurysms and strokes. But it takes so much, huge amount of triglycerides that are going to have to oxidize in order to be even a contributing factor to LDL cholesterol oxidizing to even form things like plaque. They're less than 1% contributing factor to that.
Okay.
So I always say, I just honestly, James, I just totally discount triglycerides when it comes to the overall potential of plaque buildup or increasing coronary disease symptoms because of oxidized LDL cholesterol. They're not even a major factor in any part of my formulations because they're microfats.
Okay.
They're not like an LDL cholesterol. They actually are chemically different, quite a bit different. LDL is a very low density and yet a very fast oxidizing. The microfats are so many, but they're so micro. They're so far apart that they really don't adhere like LDL cholesterol does to platelets. So there really is no source of buildup, if you will, because they're so small. They circulate all over the place. They really don't have a potential of building up unless there's a large area already oxidized of LDL cholesterol and converted into oxidized plaque. That's when they can become a contributing factor. But the basis, no, just always stick with the LDL, HDL, no more than 3 to 1. 1 part the good HDL, no more than 3 parts bad LDL. No, absolutely not one single milligram outside of that 3 to 1 ratio, because it will oxidize. And then if you do have a high LDL where it's a little bit more than 3 to 1, or worse yet, even 4 to 1, focus on raising up the HDL. And you can do that with extra virgin coconut oil. And then the second part of that is slow down that whole oxidative process. And you can do that with metabolic complete or hard algae very easily and very effectively as well, I might add. So it's a combination of a few things, but the main thing is really understand the ratios of LDL to HDL. And if you can understand that and then try to put that all together, well, that's 95% of beating heart disease and strokes and heart attacks and all the other stuff that have contributing factors to plaque buildup.
Okay. Thanks, Ron. Explained so well.
Yeah, I try to keep it simple, but yet get the right information out there. Anybody else have any questions, comments for the call? Anybody?
Hi, Ron. It's Melanie. I have a quick one.
Yeah.
Relating back to the thyroid, I've been doing some research.
Mm-hmm.
It seems it may be related to the adrenals a little bit. What do you do for adrenals?
Well, adrenals, again, what do your adrenals do? They're glands and they release hormones. Some stimulatory, some of your adrenals produce that happy hormone. It's not adrenaline. What the heck is that one? I keep calling it the happy hormone. I'll think of the name of it here in a minute.
Progesterone.
Well, no, progesterone is more like testosterone, progesterone. Progesterone's more female regulation of your menstruation cycle, and testosterone, you have to have testosterone in order to build muscle mass. That's why guys produce a lot more testosterone than women. And that's why it's so hard for a woman, unless you're on some kind of steroid, to even become a bodybuilder or a huge muscular female. It's just not normal. It's not within your genetic makeup, because women typically produce very low amounts of testosterone because they're more for childbearing rather than muscular work. Let's just put it that way. But adrenals,
I think it's kind of a stress.
What's that?
I think it's tied to stress and cortisol and all that kind of stuff.
Right. That's what I was going to say. Adrenals, the adrenal glands themselves are where your cortisol, where your homocysteine, there's a whole bunch of different hormones that are released from the adrenals. Most of them have to do with stressor, inflammation, things of that nature. Not really chemical imbalance. You're going to be very, very fatigued if your adrenals are stressed and compromised or out of balance. Absolutely. Yeah. You will be very, very fatigued to the point where you want to sleep all the time. You will be depressed because your serotonin levels are released from your adrenals. And that's going to definitely affect.
How do you fix it?
What's that?
How are you going to fix it? How do you fix it?
Well, there is a protocol. My wife had really, really bad thyroid, and if you crash, and your thyroid and your adrenals, by the way, are tied together, not in the way that they're hormonally tied together, But if your body temperature is down, that's going to stress your adrenals even more. So almost always you're going to see when the adrenals go into complete collapse and exhaustion, which, by the way, it's a disease called Hashimoto's. That's also your thyroid is going to be way out of whack, and your body temperature is very low. So to think you got, well, how do we address the adrenals without addressing the thyroid? You're not going to address the adrenals until you actually balance and get the thyroid healthy again. But it takes one to get the other one out of crisis.
Yeah. Well,
so you really have to work on it.
I've been working on the thyroid.
Okay.
For a while.
And
now.
how is
For a while now.
How is your body temperature on a consistent basis?
It's still freezing. I'm always cold. I'm always cold.
But do you do that body temperature test?
At night.
How long has it been since you did your actual thyroid temperature test? And what I mean by that is normally I show people how to take 2 readings a day, one in the very first thing before you get up and do any movement or go to the bathroom or anything in the morning. Take your body temperature, and then take it again in the afternoon, somewhere between 2 and 4 o'clock, a couple hours after your meal and a couple hours before your supper meal and after your lunch. Try to take it in between there. But whenever you take it, make sure that you have a week or 6 days anyway, so you have consistency. The worst thing you can do is try to be inconsistent with your time of taking your temperature at different days of the week, and then trying to add it all up and make sense of it. No, you want to make sure it's the same time within 15, 20 minutes of the time you take it each and every single morning, each and every single afternoon. So what you do is you take that first thing in the morning before you eat, get up, do anything, and then you take it at somewhere around 2 or 4 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock usually works best. But you take it at the same time every day, and make sure that you take it every day, 2 readings every day, times 6 days. That's going to give you 12 readings, add them all up, and then divide it by 12. And that will give you your average daily temperature. And like I said, 99 to 96 is pretty much normal. 96 to 94 is sluggish. You are low, and you're going to experience some fatigue and some other things. You're not really imbalanced yet, but you definitely are low. And if you get 94 or lower, you got Hashimoto's, plain and simple. You don't even have to go to a doctor and get all these other thyroid and all these other hormones. You have Hashimoto's just by the mere fact of where your body temperature is at. And if your body temperature is that low, it's not only going to affect your adrenals, but it affects every cellular functioning activity you have in the entire human body. Brain function, digestive efficiency, immune system efficiency, everything slows way down. And that's why you feel like, shit, nobody can understand me. I mean, you don't have a clue how I'm feeling. Yeah, I can know exactly how you feel because I've dealt with it. I've seen it. My wife had really, I don't know that she was ever Hashimoto's, but she definitely had 96 and 95 body temperatures most of the time. And she's freezing all the time. I mean, I'm not kidding you guys. Dover probably noticed this. And if not, Cliff and Lisa Y sure did. We have them up to our training center. Here it is, 106 degrees outside. Samantha's got 2 pairs of sweatpants on and a big, huge winter jacket. At 106 degrees outside, above zero. And she's freezing her hiney off. So that's when I knew we had a problem. And this has gone back now a couple of years ago. But she was crying. She was very depressed. She was isolated herself. And I didn't know what the hell to do. So I started taking her to the doctor because the tests a little bit low, but they weren't that bad. They were in the 97s when we started. And after about 8-9 months, she was down in the 95s. And I said, this can't go on. So what we actually ended up doing is I put together a specific protocol. And it wasn't the doctors that healed my wife. Her and I working together actually healed her. I put together a cocktail and stuff that actually worked extremely well, and it's all nutrition. None of it is drugs at all. Nothing.
Do you feel like the bovine formula?
What's that?
Are useful? Do you feel like the bovine thyroid and adrenal
are useful?
You're talking like standard process, like the animal adrenals and stuff?
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have a negative reaction to it, that's the problem when you start using animal glandulars and stuff, is a lot of people react negatively to that. They have all kinds of inflammation, headaches, vomiting, and it's just because of the protein nature that it comes from an animal that they're having those reactions. So all I would tell you is try it. I'm not opposed to it, but a lot of people do react negatively to it. And the one that I found for my wife was, though, we had zinc, we had the Norwegian kelp liquid in an iodine, because that's the main ingredient that helps your thyroid function at all, is iodine. And organic iodine is always going to be better. Kelp is probably the best form of iodine that there is, and it's naturally grown in the ocean, so it has all the other minerals and stuff in it as well. But we had some liquid iodine, we had zinc, we had selenium, we had vitamin E. I got the protocol someplace. In fact, just hold on here just 1 second. It shouldn't take me too long. Let me check in my phone. Here it is. Yep, it didn't take me long at all. So here's what we actually did. Iodine, 20 drops. Selenium, 25 micrograms a day. Vitamin E, I would just say the 400 to 1,000 IUs a day. Copper, and that was 12 milligrams per day. And tyrosine. And that's an amino acid, and I don't have an amount for tyrosine beside this thing here. But that's all we did, and then we got really consistent with her enzymes, her probiotics, her Steromax, and her multivitamin. And that multivitamin that we have, the Complete Vitamin Plus, that is loaded with different nutrients that support thyroid and overall adrenal gland functioning.
Yeah, I've been taking that again
the last 2 days.
And I feel
that's
better.
all we did. And within 4 months, she was completely back to my happy-go-lucky, loving wife, happy all the time, joking around all the time. It was just day and night difference.
Okay, so
you said 400 E,
you said 400 E,
copper,
12 milligrams
tyrosine,
copper,
and 25 micrograms
25
of selenium.
micrograms of selenium.
I think selenium comes in micrograms. If it's milligrams, then it's 25 milligrams.
Okay,
But I think selenium is
and then it was,
micrograms.
how much iodine?
20 drops. We had a dropper of kelp. It was a
What percent?
What
liquid-
percent?
Oh, it was kelp?
It was kelp.
It was from kelp. It's just iodine from kelp. And they came in a big old dropper, a long tube with a little rubber dropper on the top of it. And we put 20 drops a day into a glass of water.
Well, I got the 5%.
A real
Well, I got
glass
the
of water,
5%
but-
Lugol.
What's that?
So I was wondering. I got 5% Lugol
I got 5%
solution.
Lugol solution.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
It's iodine.
It's
because
iodine.
They get the potassium
Because they
iodine
get the
and
potassium iodine and the
together.
potassium iodine together.
Uh-huh.
It's supposed to work
It's
better.
supposed
You're
to work
supposed to have it
better.
that way,
You're
is
supposed
what
to
I've
have it
been
that way,
reading.
is what I've been reading.
Well, iodine just on its own, as long as you have liquid iodine, will work all by itself. It doesn't
Okay,
need a
well-
cofactor
Okay, well-
chelate or anything like that. There might be some benefit with the potassium added to it, but I'm not aware of what that might be. Because I know
Okay.
potassium is one of the main nutrients that coagulate blood or thicken blood. I'm not sure how it relates to hormones at all, but I won't say it doesn't work because I've never researched it to figure out what that whole thing was all about. So I honestly don't know.
So
But I do know that just
what-
pure iodine from Norwegian kelp is what we used.
And then what about the adrenal?
And then what about the
What
adrenals?
are your thoughts there?
Well, the adrenals, I don't know. Most people, they try to keep it pushing and think their body's going to heal. Somewhere you have to find some space where you can just unwind, unstress. You cannot keep up with what you've been doing because that's what got you to where you're at. And adrenals don't heal by themselves. Hormone replacement therapy, if you get the right hormones to counterbalance the cortisol and some of the stressor stuff that's going on, that helps a little bit. But the best thing is just to try to get rid of the stress in your life, because that's really what causes the inflammation as well as the stress to the adrenals. There's just too much negativity going on in a person's life every day. You know, and saying get rid of the stress is a whole lot easier said than done. I realize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, that's funny. But,
that's funny.
I mean, you're right.
Well, I know I'm right, but like I said, it's a whole lot easier said than actually done.
Yeah.
Because so many people are just two-income families now, and you got kids, and you got obligations, and you got bosses, and you got family members, and you just got to go, got to get this done. You know, just don't let everything just pile on you. Things that you think you need to get done right now can always wait. Nothing is more important than your health, not only to you, but for people that you really rely on, you care about you, and that you love around you. Nothing is more important than that.
Yeah.
Not money, not bills, not anything. So, and that's where the difficult part tries to come in at. You know, there is no easy, quick bullet for any of this stuff. Contrary to what anybody might tell you, there isn't. Hashimoto's typically takes a minimum of 3 and as long as 5 years to totally rebuild the adrenals and reestablish the health of the thyroid. 3 to 5 years. So, you know, that doesn't sound very positive at all, but the positive thing is it does work. But you got to be patient, and that's the hardest part for most people. They're so impatient. Everybody is in a world of, I want it now, I can get it now. Gee, why can't I get this right now? You just can't. That's not the way the body works or cellularly reproduces. It just doesn't do that. Anybody that says that got cured in 6 months, they're loonier than a tune. That's never, ever been shown to be viable for anybody.
Yeah, I was told.
So,
I'm trying. It's been a year. I'm trying to be patient.
Yeah. Well, all I can tell you is just be consistent. Like I told you when we first talked, was it yesterday or today sometime? I think it was yesterday. Anyways, you sound so much better. I can tell you've improved a lot just from when I first started working and talking to you. There's a day and night difference there already. So I know you may not feel it all the time, but I know you can definitely feel like there's changes that have been positive over this last year.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep, and that's what I'm just telling you. Same thing I told my daughter. You know, these hormonal issues, they're some of the hardest to solve. Don't get frustrated with it. It will get better. It will eventually go away because you guys are young. You have your age working for you and stuff. When you're in your late 60s, 70s, and early 80s, that's a whole different story, unfortunately. So you guys are in a good place because of your age. You got a lot of restorative and regenerating capacity at an enzymatic and DNA level right now. That's the positive thing. So, but it will get better. And you will eventually get healed
Thank you so much.
as long as you're consistent with it.
Thanks, Ron.
Keep on.
Keep on.
All righty. Anybody else have any quick questions, comments? Anybody else? No?
Yeah, Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Ben. I got somebody
They say it's
a mole in the brain, but
a mole in the brain, but then they say maybe meningitis.
A mole in the brain?
Yeah, they're saying it's not
Yeah,
meningitis.
they're
They say
saying
it's a mole
meningitis.
in the
They say
brain.
it's a mole in the brain. I said, really?
I've never heard of a mole in the brain. Mole is usually attached to skin. I've never even heard of a mole on an organ. I've heard of cysts. I've heard of polyps. I've heard of a whole lot of things, but I've never heard of a mole in the internal body. That's almost always external. When you start having growth on top of other tissues, there's usually a whole other name for it other than a mole.
Meningioma. They call it meningioma.
Meningioma is not meningitis.
No.
No, just so we know that those are two different things. Well, that brings up a whole different conversation now. Who is this for? Who has this?
A friend of ours.
And what are their symptoms?
Yes, it's like.
What are their symptoms?
Say something.
Do they pass out a lot and have a lot of headaches?
Headaches.
Headaches. No passing out?
Yeah.
No blackout?
She said no. She did not.
No? Okay. Well, unfortunately, as well as fortunately, I guess, I'll start with the unfortunately first, and then we'll get to the positive aspect. Unfortunately, there's not too much that you're going to be able to do other than try to clean up the blood to where you could increase overall activity and efficiency as well as access of immune system cells to get to that, because that definitely is an abnormality. So your immune system should be able to get to it and identify it. And part of the identifying process is to clean up the bloodstream. There's way too much poorly digested protein and protein from your meals and stuff that are accumulating in your bloodstream as floating immune complexes. And that can actually mask a lot of these problems like brain cancers, not just brain cancer, but cancer anywhere in the body. It puts a protein film over it, so your body's immune system looks at it like, oh, well, that's just food laying around. I'll get to it later. And yet there's that growth going on down below that. So the first thing you want to do is clean up the blood. And again, you do that with enzymes and probiotics. Make sure you clean up the bloodstream first, and that would, as long as you had a fairly decent, healthy immune system capability of functioning, that should initiate the immune system to actually get in there and start to work on reducing and eventually eliminating that growth completely. And the Steromax would be another part of that as well, increase that size and overall efficiency of functioning of the immune system. That's where I would start from, because there's not a whole lot of stuff that crosses the blood-brain barrier. There's very little outside of the basic amino acids, and sugars, which are polysaccharides. That is brain food. That's all it takes for the brains and the neurons within the skull of the human body to function. You don't need a lot of these other vitamins and nutrients and antioxidants and all this kind of stuff. There's very few things that will cross the blood-brain barrier. There's some electrolytes, and that's mainly for the nerves and the neuron function. But so from a nutritional perspective, you could try the pycnogenol, which is the white pine bark found in the multivitamin, or more importantly, in the Metabolic Complete, because it's much higher milligram dosage in the Metabolic Complete. And that will give a lot of antioxidant relief. So if there is an oxidation or a hardening process to that whole growth or presence of that, that'll slow that down and probably will even reverse it. And it'll prevent it from actually getting bigger. And like I said, you clean up the blood, and then the immune system can actually start interacting with that abnormal tissue there, which it normally will, and it'll start to dissolve it. And outside of that, I really don't know any other route that's nutrition other than you'd probably have to go medical. And it doesn't sound like it's severe enough to have any kind of operation or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what she told us.
that's what you told us. So.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so did that give you what you guys needed?
Absolutely for her.
Absolutely for her. Absolutely.
Okay.
We will let her know.
We will let her know.
Okay. All righty. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Anybody for tonight? Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask away. Otherwise, we're going to come to an end of another good call. Nobody else? Okay. Well, hopefully you all had a great Thanksgiving. Like I said, I know I did. We really enjoyed ourselves. We were able to get away from our front office up here and got all the products unloaded, all the product orders all caught up and everything for the inventory we got in. And my wife and Samantha and I, we just went to our back guest house and spent the whole week last week back there, Monday all the way through Sunday morning. So it was a great relaxing week last week. I'm glad we were all able to take it off and spend some time with your family and kind of rejuvenate and recoup. So, Dover, you want to go ahead and close out the call if there's any last minute comments?
No, you said it. Another great call.
You said
Thank
it.
you,
Another great
everybody.
call.
And,
Thank you, everybody.
And hope you had a wonderful holiday.
Hope you had a wonderful holiday. And
Ron, thank you. Appreciate you.
Ron, thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody that comes on here each and every week, and especially you, Dover. I really appreciate you coming on and being here every single week, right on time, and thank you. Makes a difference for all of us.
Actually, my pleasure.
Yep. All right. I'd just say have a good night, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week, same time.
Have a great night, everybody.
Have a great night,
Everybody,
Night.
bye.
Everybody, bye.